Hello everyone and welcome back. We carry on the road to the Crown of Ireland, and this week we're hopefully going to make some substantial progress. I think that if we don't do it today, we'll probably do it next week. So last week we conquered some territory and expanded our claim on the Kingdom of Ireland. Let's see how far off we are from that. You see here we need just 2 more territories to get that 50% mark. And we can do that by capturing one of these territories to get a de jure claim on the other. So let's first off check that all the chancellors and so forth are busy. So we've got this normal setup here. Whenever you load the game, just remember to check all these. And you see the tyrannous actions of this character have caused severe problems. Tyranny does degrade, but it's calculated separately. So for example, if you have 1 act of tyranny, the penalty for that act will wear off after 10 years. But say you have an act that gives you -20 and another one that gives you -40, it doesn't wear off all at once, nor does it reset. It'll initially drop from -60 down to just -40. It's the first -20 offence wears off, and then later on it would disappear entirely as the -40 wears off. So it's basically keeping a running total, but each change in that total only lasts for 10 years. That said, 10 years is a very, very long time in Crusader Kings 2. Right, so we're currently sowing dissent in Kildare. I believe we actually had a claim on the place, so we've got that part way sorted. The Marshal is training troops, that's increasing the levy size. I'm going to switch him back to military tech for a while, because we're not going to go for the invasion straight away. We need to recover a little bit from these wars. As you can see, we're not quite at full strength here. So he can research military tech, and we'll try and see if we can improve the state of the realm a little bit before we wage that war. Okay, the steward is collecting taxes. This is good, as we're going to need a lot of money in order to create that crown. Okay, the spy master is building a spy network again to help undermine Kildare. And the court chaplain researching cultural tech. So this is all good. The council's assigned. They're doing what we want them to do. Laws, where we've gone to agnatic cognatic primogeniture as we did last time. I'm half tempted to up the feudal taxation a little bit, because that extra 20% could be quite useful, but the -10 modifier from my vassals at the moment, while I could take the hit, is a little bit dangerous, because obviously if they really dislike me, they're going to stop paying taxes anyway. So that's something that I could possibly look at a bit further down the line. Technology, I think we're okay with these as we are at the moment. We seem to still be in the state where we have quite a lot of heavy infantry, so heavy armour is a good idea. Again, that's something we can look at a bit more closely and something a bit more advanced. The technology isn't something that I normally mess around with too much. I just make sure that the military tech is set to whatever unit I have the most of in my army, or possibly military organisation as well if I've got to the point where I can actually start using a lot of retinues. Retinues we can cover a bit further down the line. Tactics again isn't also one that's just generally useful, but I generally prefer to go for military organisation. But again, just hover over them, see what they do, see what fits your play style. There isn't a definite right and definite wrong here. Economy advances, I usually keep that at farming because it gives you the most from your castles, and castles tend to be what you own directly, so you get the most taxation from, or the most income from even. Military, again, retinues, can't quite get there yet because I think the minimum size of a retinue is 250 retinue strength. So, what does it say here? Yes, yeah, retinue cap usage there, 900, 800, 1200, 600, so I was way off with that initial assessment. But that gives you, the retinue cap is calculated, as you can see from here. When you get enough, you can hire a retinue. Retinues are standing armies. They start off with 1 member and reinforce up to the composition that you see here for each one. You can declare war while they are raised, so they're very useful to ensure that you have power at a point before the war even starts. And generally speaking, are just very useful to have around because they supplement your levies as well. Incredibly useful if you have uppity vassals and you're looking at the threat of factions, because of course they add to your personal levies that you can call on. So it means that factions need more members and more arms under their banner before they can rebel. Intrigue, no known plots. We have one prisoner here. Not entirely sure what we can do with this guy. We can banish him, but he doesn't have anything worth seizing. We can execute him, but I'm not going to get even more tyranny on this one. Or we can release him, but I don't think I really want to do that, because he has a strong claim on the Duchy of Munster. He is one of my pretenders. So for now, I think the best thing to do is just let him rot. Factions, no dangerous factions, that's good. Religion, everything's called here. Fairly good moral authority here. Okay. And I can appoint my own successors here. Appointing successors to bishoprics is quite useful, as anyone who is appointed a bishop is removed from the line of succession. So, say for example here my pretenders, these two, if I wanted to make sure that they couldn't be in a position to have a strong claim on the Duchy of Munster when I die, I could turn them into bishops. And if I did that, then obviously they're no longer as so much of a threat to the actual heir apparent. So that's one way that you can deal with pretenders outside of just locking them up and throwing away the key. Now hang on, what's this? Demense too big? I've not seen this before. Well, some of you might not have seen this before, but I of course have seen it quite a few times. Your domain is capped. The actual way that the cap is calculated is shown there. It can be improved through the legalism research, it can be improved through having personal stewardship, and so on. And your base, your current rank is also a factor, so counts can't have as large a one as a duke, duke can't have as large a one as a king, king can't have quite as large a one as an emperor. Now if your demense is too large, it means a couple of things. First, tax collection suffers a little bit. You can see here. Your vassals get a little bit pissed off about it, so if we hover over the opinion modifiers, there's usually something in there. It might not have kicked in yet. And the final thing to consider as well is you get certain special events as well that can be problematic with demense too large. So demense domain, however you want to say it, if it's too big, you want to try and brush it down a little bit. Now, remember what I was saying a while back about whenever you gift landed titles, always try to include the lower titles because it stops de jure wars between your vassals. The problem that we've got here is, because I'm a duke, if I give away a duchy, that other person becomes a duke, and they're of equal rank, so they can no longer be my vassal. You can only make vassals out of people of lower rank than yourself. So unfortunately, this means that I can't give away a whole duchy, so I have to give away an individual territory. And none of these individual territories are duchies in and of their own right. So how do we pick what we want to get rid of? Well, first of all, we want to get rid of the worst of our holdings. We don't want to be giving away strong military power. So you can check the... oops, wrong button here. You can click the button here to see what sort of troops you can get from these territories and the total levy size of them. So you can see here this provides us with 204 levy there, 118 levy there, 109 levy there. And again, check the same in Ormond, 204, 111, 118. At the moment it's pretty much a muchness because I've not really been building that much in the way of enhancements for my territories. I think I've built, you can see I'm building a castle donjon there, and Ossory, similar sort of story. That one's actually a little bit better, I think. But I think we can get rid of Desmond because there is a second consideration, and that is if you can't guarantee there isn't going to be a de jure war, how can you minimise the chance of a de jure war? Well, this comes from usurping titles. So if we look at Desmond here, in order to usurp this title, this would normally be usurped if it was something else. In fact, let's look at Kildare. Oh, come on, give me something where I've got something to show these people. Okay, uncheck de jure, can I do that? No. Okay. Right, basically, it's not going to let me show you this because I don't yet have a means to usurp. Basically, usurping is similar to creating the title in the first place. you have to have a legitimate claim on that title, so it's control X many territories, pay X amount, and you get that. So if we look at Desmond, and what we want here is to see what Desmond is a de jure part of, so de jure Duchy of Munster. Now normally you would need to control at least 50% of the duchy or the kingdom, whatever, in order to be able to usurp that title, same as what it would take to claim it. So if we give one of these territories away, we'd still hold two, so the vassal would not have a de jure claim on the title Duchy of Munster. They control one of the de jure counties within it, but they themselves would not have enough of that territory to be a threat to my title by usurping it or any other means. On the other hand, if we look at Ossory here, which is a de jure part of the Duchy of Leinster, you can see that there are only two territories. So if we give one of these territories away, the vassal would have a de jure claim on, well, not a de jure claim, but would have a claim on t'other. Incidentally, you can also destroy titles. This means that they then need to be recreated further down the line. And essentially, this is good for consolidating territories under a de facto rule. So say, for example, you have Gavelkind succession, and you want to ensure that your heir gets all of this stuff. The titles that are going to get split are going to be the duchies, because they're the highest title. One vassal will get the Duchy of Munster, your main heir, the other will get the Duchy of Leinster. So that's going to cause problems because the empire will fragment, or your kingdom, your realm we'll say, will fragment because you will have two people of equal rank, so there isn't a single title that is passed down that is going to keep that territory united. Instead of having it under one person with both titles, you have it under two separate people with the same titles. This is another reason why it's important to create the kingdom, because if you have one crown that all those vassals are subservient to, Gavelkind succession doesn't matter. Your heir will get the crown, your pretenders will get duchies, but those duchies still have to be vassals of the crown. So they might form factions, they might rebel or whatever, but you're not going to split your realm just through succession alone. So that's a situation where you might want to consider destroying a title, but not here. So which of these three is the best? Well, we're getting a castle donjon here, so I'm not going to mess around with that. Ormond, no. Let's have a look here. 204, 118, 100, so about 450 roughly. 204, 109, 118, that's pretty much a muchness. We can give Desmond away, and if we give Desmond away, that will reduce our demense down to a manageable size. Best person to give it to is your heir, because that way your heir will then get that title back again. The demense will probably be too large for the heir to handle, but you can then, of course, split it up again. Some people like to give the same title to their heirs generation after generation. That is something of a tradition. The heir of Britain, I believe, is usually the Prince of Wales. Maybe wrong on that one. I'm not a monarchist, so unfortunately my interest in the royal family is passing at best. But let's give this heir a landed title. And it doesn't matter that he's only 0. You can give titles to anyone, but it will be a regency. Regencies basically mean that whilst the title is held by someone, that person is not fit to rule. So another person, a regent, rules in their stead. And when that person comes of age, or if they recover to the point where they are now capable, then they become the actual ruler again. Regencies can be dangerous because weak claims can be pressed against them. You see here we have weak claims and you'll see weak claims and strong claims. A strong claim can be pressed at any time. If I have a strong claim on the county of Kildare, it means that I can declare war on Kildare regardless of the state that Kildare is in. Now, weak claims can only be pressed under certain circumstances. In this case, I can press a weak claim because the ruler is a female and also a regent. Weak claims, you can check the wiki for the full list, but if there is a regency, a weak claim can be pressed. and if the ruler is female and you've got an agnatic cognatic succession, then or true cognatic even, or is it true agnatic? It's true agnatic, I think. Check it later. Either way, if the ruler is female and you have that, then also their claim is as tenuous as yours, so that weak claim can be pressed. So we could, if we wanted, go into Desmond, check the claimants, and we can see that these two are probably too young to cause a problem, and this guy has a strong claim, so it wouldn't really matter if we put a regent in, because that's a strong claim, so he's got a claim no matter what. Okay, so let's give that title to my heir. Grant landed title, include lower titles, and County of Desmond. So he gets the County of Desmond, the City of Cork, and the Bishopric of Cloyne. If you don't include the lower titles, he just gets County of Desmond, but going with it are those anyway. But it's always a good idea to tick include lower titles anyway, purely because it gets you into the habit of avoiding fragmentation of your realm. Okay, so my demense is no longer an issue. Open council positions. It looks like my court chaplain has been appointed as the regent for this fellow. The regency's not updated yet. Sometimes you've got to start the clock before something's updated. So I have to appoint a new court chaplain. We'll appoint this guy. Research cultural tech. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time here just discussing other aspects of the game. As such, we might not, in fact I very much doubt we'll get to the Crown of Ireland this episode, but you've learned a little bit more about claims, you've learned a little bit more about how to divvy up your realm and the considerations that go into it. So let's see what this game brings us. Oh, I've gained a title. I have now been known as the Just. How I'm known as the Just when I've got so much tyranny, I do not know. Titles turn up so many years after a ruler becomes a certain rank, I believe. It's not something that I'm particularly familiar with. I focus a lot more on the game's mechanics than aesthetics, so you can look it up if you're interested. Okay, I've had a death in the family, so I need to appoint a new Chancellor. And the best guy for the job is this Bishop. He's not particularly good. Let's have him gain sow descent in Kildare. I'm hoping that the best thing we can do is to sow descent in Kildare, and once we get a successful trigger of that, we should have recovered the military enough that we can actually press an attack. You can see here I've lost troops from my domain because I've had to give part of my domain away to a vassal, so that's moved from there to there. So if this gets up to 600, we'll have quite a strong force. We can just march straight into Kildare. And this fellow was a guardian as well. He is a pretender, so we might want to gimp him. If you want someone who's bad, give them loads of negative traits. Shy is one. That's a good one. Shy but brave. Drunkard. Yes. Yeah, this guy is terrible, but he does have a decent martial score. This guy's a little bit well, meant he's a lady. Yep, we'll give him to her. She's got quite a good background. Well, Indulgent Wastrel isn't a good background, but she's picked up some good ones here, like Scholar. Oh, she's a bastard as well. Lustful, slothful. Bad traits. Guardians tend to pass on their stats and their traits to the children. So by making her this guy's guardian, we improve her opinion of me, not that it really matters, and we ensure that when he comes of age, that although he's nearly there anyway and he's been educated by someone quite good, because I didn't quite realise who he was, you can ensure that they have poor politics skills, they have poor military skills, so it's very difficult for them to to press claims simply because they don't have the skills to gather people under their banner, and they don't have the military skills in order to press the claim themselves. But really, with most of these, it's about the factions. Unless your vassals are your claimants, they don't have military forces at their disposal, and people will only form factions around someone if they like that person a lot more than they like you. So, by ensuring they are gimped with a very poor diplomacy, you can ensure factions don't form around them. Okay, I'm holding a feast, but on top of that I'm also going to plot to get rid of this guy. Main reason I'm going to do this is because it means his heir will have to take over, and odds are that even if it's just meaning the short reign penalty, it'll further destabilise the relationship between vassal and between vassals and ruler, which makes it a lot easier to wage war on the buggers. Okay, successful feast. Diplomacy, general opinion and so forth has been much improved, so my vassals are very, very happy. You can see here this bishop is now much higher opinion of me than of the Pope, so he pays his taxes to me rather than the Pope. Also worth noting that we have a truce with Earl Murkrad of Dublin until 1090, so we've got 5 years before we can actually attack him again without suffering from big penalties to relations with other rulers of the same religion. Basically, I'm at one of those points in the game where I'm just pushing through random events, and by pushing through these random events, we can progress and hopefully improve stats and so forth, whilst we build up military forces. Now, I'm just going to explain this choice here, because on the surface the gregarious special option here looks like the best because it gives me a 15 modifier, but this guy likes me anyway, so that's not really an issue. But what I do get here is intrigue +1 and diplomacy +1, even if it's only a temporary boost. But you'll see here my ambition is to improve intrigue, and even if it's only a temporary boost, if you get your intrigue or any other stat up to the level that the ambition requires, the ambition counts as being completed, so you get the bonus for having completed that ambition. Okay. Yep, there we go. So I can amass wealth, I can have a daughter. What I'm going to do is leave it blank for now, because when the bonus to my intrigue runs out, I can choose Improve Intrigue again, and odds are I will get the arc of events to improve my intrigue, meeting the old Spymaster and so forth again, so I can actually get that permanent boost. And that's a little bit, it's a little bit of gimping the system, but you know, it's the way that the game is made. You've got to take the advantages that you can as you get them. Also need to construct some things to improve my levies and so forth as well in other areas. The problem as well is once you start giving away territory and building them up for your vassals, when's that run out? Recently conquered. Oh, it runs out this year, so that should give me a nice big boost to my forces. Once you start running, and well, once you start giving your territories away. Sorry, I'm trying to read and speak at the same time. Once you start giving territories away, then also you run into the problem of needing to make sure you've got a bigger military than your vassals to fight off any potential rebellions. Oh, excellent, I can gain the trait Ambitious. And as you can see, I get a very, very nice boost to all my stats thanks to that. Okay, 5% chance of maimed, which is not good because maimed is -2 martial, -2 health, and it doesn't go away. Wounded, as I've said, eventually degrades into scarred, which is nice because it gives you prestige each month. And send our best hunter. His opinion of me is low, so that will help improve opinions. I'm not going to risk being maimed when I'm still expanding my empire militarily. Can I go on with the Grand Hunt? Oh no, just missed it. Can't hold a feast this year either, but on the other hand that means I can... Alright, I'm going to go for the ambition. I'm not going to get up to 500 gold, so I'm just going to put down have a daughter. But as you can see, ambitious is a very, very nice trait to have. Just not in your vassals. As you can see, with the improvement of my stewardship, my demense is now 4 out of 5, so my size is increased by 5, meaning I could, in theory, take back Ormond. But obviously I don't really want to revoke this title because, guess what? Tyranny. As well as the chances of revolt as well. That Castle Donjon has helped considerably to improve the size of my levies. Oh, disease, yay. Everyone's got consumption. I have a weak claim on the Byzantine Empire that I can press on part of my courtier, who has sadly got no children of her own, but if she did, they'd be of my dynasty, meaning that if I press this claim and were to succeed, unfortunately the Byzantine Empire is this huge chunk over here, an Irish dynasty would be ruling over the Byzantine Empire. So that's why marriage is so important, and getting people into your court who have claims on foreign titles is important. I covered that last week, how to get people into your court, marry them off, and then claim titles for them. Okay, Donald Markhead has become an indulgent wastrel. He is one of the pretenders, and as an indulgent wastrel he has reduced diplomacy. He's deceitful, which further reduces his diplomacy. Diligence kind of offsets that, as does charitable. So he's ended up all-right, basically. So Countess Ua Briain. So if that betrothal triggers, and there it does. Nope, we're not going to marry matrilineally. Arrange marriage, break betrothal. Arrange marriage. Ah, bugger. Can't arrange it anymore. No, arrange marriage rather than arrange betrothal, it would help. There be he. So he's crap, but on the other hand it means that if he has children with this lady, then this territory falls into my dynasty. So you can see there's a marriage there. All we need to do is hope that the two are fruitful, and if they are, then excellent news. Ooh, and I've got some more money. So hopefully I'm going to get the crown, and I could press a de jure claim here anyway as the King of Ireland, or I could offer vassalization. But at the end of the day, it's always useful to try and make sure that everything's within your dynasty. The more things that are within your dynasty, the harder it is for anyone to actually completely destroy it. Okay, we've reached a point now where the armies aren't huge, but at the same time they're probably not going to get that much bigger. Well, they are going to get that much bigger, but they don't need to be. This guy has allies, but they're quite a way away. I don't think they're going to be a problem. We can basically press and attack there, no problems. Their levy, 200, 100, 100. We outnumber them roughly 2 to 1, so we should be able to hit them quite hard. Before I attack though, I'm going to use the Grand Hunt, and I'm also going to hold a feast. The Grand Hunt because it improves my martial score, usually. Yeah, I'm calling a bear. Give me the bear spear. So you see I've gained traits that improve my martial quite a bit. The temporary ones there are Mighty Trophy and Bloodlust. In fact, I should be able to get one more Grand Hunt out as well. And a feast. Okay, the reason I use the feast is, as we've said in the past, better relations with vassals, more levy. More levy, better chance of kicking the arse of this guy. Get one more Grand Hunt in. Depending on the length, sometimes you can use these events multiple times, sometimes you can't. In this case you can't. I can, however, hold the feast. So I don't think my vassals are... the bishops don't like me, but sod them. They're not providing much in the way of my military anyway. Okay, I could gain the trait Wrath. Gives me a big bonus to my martial, but my intrigue and diplomacy suffer, and I don't really want to lose those stats. Especially as I'm probably not going to be doing too much more militarily with this character. I'll go with the Bear Spear. Large Feast. And you see here I've got Martial 2, 3, 4. Then you see why Grand Hunt is so useful before waging war. Okay, I don't expect the bishops to turn up. Ooh, this could be useful if this works. And even though the plot is at quite low power, it might. We should be able to just see what else is here. A few plots to kill people, plot to revoke the county of Desmond. It will of course cause problems for the come on, do it, do it, do it, do it. Yes! Okay, so the Duke is dead. This means that the title passes to his son. His son is ambitious. This is not good. But we're going to press this attack anyway. We can deal with him further down the line. But this means obviously he's now going to have a short reign penalty. So you can see the opinions with the vassals are quite low. This means that we have less troops that we have to actually worry about. So all in all, this is good. God, not this one again. I'll just take the experience, I'll just take the relation hit. Right, is a feast over yet? Okay, so we've completed the feast. The vassals have a good opinion. The military as such is quite beefy. And we've killed the guy who's had the time to build up the relations with his vassals. Perfect storm. Everything's come together on this one. Sometimes the randomness of the game works against you. Sometimes it all comes to a point. So, let's declare war. Okay, we can also call in allies. Maybe there's 1+ there. Are there any others? Countess of Brief. Okay, so she likes me a lot. That's almost certain, so we're going to send that call to war. The Duke of Lothian. Now, when you're calling in allies, it's a very good idea to send them gifts, because it's based on relative opinion. If they like the enemy more than they like you, they're not going to help. If they like you a lot more than they like the enemy, odds are they will help. Now, with this only being one territory, I'm not going to get the Lothian involved here, because I think he's already fighting a war of his own. Let's have a look. Yeah, he's fighting in a war for Scotland. So I don't really want to screw that up, because, as I've said in the past, there are, that's something that I might be able to poach from him further down the line. Countess Briefly, on the other hand, definitely, as I've already ordered her in, she's right next door. That should help. But if I was going to call this guy in, the best way to do it, even though he's got 1+, that's not a guarantee, is to just send a gift, and then that will improve matters. So the army is 266 strong. How cute. I'm going to throw my vassals at it first, because that way it reduces the arms that my vassals have available to them, and in doing so reduces the arms that they have available if they wanted to try and take me on. So I'll go and join that fight, and hopefully it should prove quite conclusive. Okay, so that's gone to pot. Changing war score's quite nice, gained a little bit of prestige. 80 left, that's not enough for them to overcome the defenders. And between my army and the army of my ally, we have more than enough to lay siege. So I didn't even need to use my own forces. This gives you an idea of just how important politics is in this game. With this correct alignment, by ensuring that the levies are minimum sized due to poor relations with vassals, done through killing off kings and killing off other rulers and calling in allies, you can do so much with so little. You can release some... Oh god, I've turned into a rather unpleasant person. I'll release Rats into his cell. I'll probably kill him a bit sooner. He's getting quite old, so I'd rather that claim died with him. Okay, so there's a plot here by this individual to try and kill my wife. Or ask her to end the plot. Nope. Can I send her a gift? I'm going to be able to bribe her into doing it. Yeah, okay, brilliant. So I've not quite got enough children yet. One heir isn't really enough. Okay, so the siege, initial siege completed. These next ones should go down a bit faster. Offer of peace. And it's complete surrender. Excellent. So the Duke loses 100 prestige, as prestige can influence people's opinions of you. That's very good for us. We gain 44.17 prestige, and I gain the County of Kildare. I'll just assert the title County of Kildare. So that's now been added to my domain, which is very nice because it means that my domain is now as large as it can be. And there's that bloody recently conquered thing, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And see here, my prestige has grown quite considerably now. So, do I have the title Duchy of Kildare, or do I need to create it? County of Kildare, Duchy of Meath. Okay, so I need to create that title, and for that I need 156 gold. So let's gather some gold. Obviously I now need to reassign my councillors as well, so I'm going to switch to sowing dissent in Dublin, as that's going to be the likely target. And the Marshal, leave him as he is for now. The Spy Master, again, build spy network in Dublin. My vassals are happy with me, my court is mixed, but I don't think there's enough serious negativity to warrant defensive spying just yet. Okay, you can see here this heir is in red. This is because it is not the dynastic heir, but it means he's not the dynastic heir of the current ruler. He's the dynastic heir of Ua Briain. He is of my house. So, woohoo! They've started producing claim. Oh, there's a strong claim on the county of Tincoral there as well. And will that be inherited by a successor? Not inherited unless pressed in war. Bugger. What that means is that claims have a shelf life, basically. If a claim is not pressed, it can be passed on to the next generation. However, if it's then not pressed again, it vanishes. But if you press the claim, even if you lose the war, it refreshes the claim so it can be passed on again. So sometimes, if you've got a claim you really want to hold on to, it's worth starting the war, then trying to sue for white peace. Although as the aggressor, obviously white peace isn't to your benefit, sometimes you just need to consider it as a means of paying to keep the claim. So I have another son. This is good. Right. Another one of my pretenders is causing problems. So he is plotting to kill me. Can't let this continue, so I can tell him to end the plot, but his base reluctance is quite, well, reluctanty. Request excommunication, but unfortunately he is well liked by the Pope. So all I can really do is try and off him. Unfortunately, he is the one who is producing the heirs here. So, how is his intrigue score? 10. So he's actually potentially quite dangerous. And the core is a little bit crap, but let's invite who we can and hope. So we might need to spend some money here. So again, I'm just looking for ones where the pluses and negatives are equal, because a gift can swing the balance there. Alright, so the two I invited have joined. Let's see who's left, because this is actually quite a serious threat, this is. If I can get the Spy Master on side, that would be great, but let's see if my council can do anything. I can't reassign them until a bit later this year, but I will show you how both the Chancellor and the Spy Master can be useful for this sort of counter-spying. Okay, so first of all, if you want to do effective counter-spying, or at least trying to get some assassinations in place, there are a few ways that you can do it. The first is the obvious choice, which is to build spy network in your chosen location. This increases assassination chance by 6%. It's not much, but it's something. I'm going to replace the Spy Master with this particular Duchess here, because her intrigue is much higher. And I can then see it now goes up to 7%. Every little bit helps here. So I'll put that in here, and below the assassination chances are improved somewhat. The other thing you can do is sow dissent. Now, sow dissent does not directly help your assassination chances, but what it can do is help you to get people on side for the plot. Your plot scores a variety of influences, but one of them is the opinion of the liege that they're being invited to plot against. So by using sow dissent, you reduce that score and thus increase the chances that people will be willing to join you in your plot. Unfortunately, this is still quite low down on the list. So let this be a lesson to you all. Your pretenders are dangerous, and you have to be very careful what you do. They can be useful insofar as they're members of your dynasty that you can send out to propagate your family, but they are dangerous insofar as they have claims to your titles, and they are often hell-bent on trying to press those claims. In this case, he just hates me. But he hates me because he has a claim on my title. That negative 50 modifier, coupled with the negative 60 modifier, isn't helping. And the other negative 50 modifier, Scheming Bastard, is an issue as well. But mostly it's just the tyranny that I've been doing and the fact that he's a pretender. On the other hand, in better news, I now have enough money to create the title of the Duchy of Meath. So let's create that. 154 gold, another 200 prestige, and a de jure claim on Dublin. I could press that now, and that would then give me enough territories to create the Kingdom of Ireland. You can see I'm only one off controlling at least 50%, and then it's just the case of trying to get 300 gold together. And I don't need to worry too much about this guy, because whilst he is a pain in the neck, he should have difficulty getting a foothold, because my state intrigue is quite high. My vassals like me, they're unlikely to join the plot. My core I've got problems with, so I might want to try and see if I can cull some of them. It would be a lot easier to kill these than it would be to kill him. So that could be one way forward. Try killing off the courtiers who might support him, and thus I cut off any chance that he has of actually being able to kill me. Rather than ending his plot, I neuter it. Let's just see if there's no way he can be convinced to end the plot. He can. Fortunately, that increase of my power is good. So I can do that. And I will draw this episode to a close here, and next episode we will create, we'll press that claim on Dublin, and then from Dublin, the Crown of Ireland. But for now, I'm Uvist T, signing off.